My name is Christine Harper. I'm 32 years old and 3 weeks ago I became a widow. The day my husband passed, I called my brunch sobbing, barely able to get the words out. And my mother said, honey, we're in the middle of Amber's birthday brunch. Can this wait? It couldn't, my husband was gone. But apparently my sister's mimosas mattered more. Days later, they showed up at mid-hour, not to grieve, but to demand 50% of everything Daniel left behind. They said I couldn't be trusted with that McMoney. They said Amber needed it more. They said family helps family. But when my 8-year-old daughter handed them an envelope and asked, "Is this why you came?" everything changed. Inside was a letter from my late husband, and when they read it, their hands started shaking. Before I tell you what was in that letter, please take a moment to like and subscribe. But only if you think people should stand up for themselves when family crosses the line, and drop a comment telling me where you were watching from and what time it is there. I love knowing this story is reaching people all over the world. Let me take you back to the day it all started. It was a Saturday evening, September 14th. I was folding laundry in the living room while Lily watched cartoons upstairs. Daniel had gone to pick up groceries, just a quick run to the store, 20 minutes round trip. He'd kissed me goodbye at the door. Need anything else? He'd asked. I'd laughed. Just you back safe. Those were the last words I ever said to him. My phone rang at 6:32 p.m. unknown number. I almost didn't answer. Mrs. Harper. A woman's voice, professional but soft. This is Mercy General Hospital. I'm calling about your husband, Daniel Harper. The laundry basket slipped from my hands. There was an accident on Route 47. A drunk driver in a red light. I'm so sorry, Mrs. Harper, but your husband didn't survive. I don't remember what I said next. I think I screamed. I know I dropped that phone. Lily came running downstairs, her face pale with fear. Mommy, what's wrong? I couldn't answer her. I could barely breathe. I picked up my phone with shaking hands and dialed my prince. They would know what to do. They would come. They had to come. Mom answered on the third ring. I could hear music in the background. Laughter, the clink of glasses. Christine, she said, her voice bright. Sweetheart, what is it? Mom, my voice cracked. Daniel, he's honey. We're in the middle of Amber's birthday brunch. Can this wait? I tried again. Mom, Daniel's dead. There was a pause. 2 seconds of silence. Oh, honey, that's terrible, she said, her tone shifting gently slightly. But we're with guests right now. We'll call you tomorrow, okay? I heard my father's voice in the background. Is everything okay? It's Christine, Mom replied. Nothing urgent. The line went dead. I sat on the kitchen floor, phone still pressed to my ear, and felt something inside me break that had nothing to do with Daniel's death. The funeral was 4 days later, September 18th, a Tuesday. I stood at the front of the chapel, one hand gripping Lily's small fingers, the other resting on the polished wood of Daniel's casket. The room was full. His co-workers, college friends, neighbors who had known for years, people who cared, people who showed up, but not my prince, not my sister. Lily looked up at me with wide, confused eyes. Mommy, where's Grandma and Grandpa? I swallowed hard. They're busy, sweetheart, but Daddy died. I know, baby. She didn't ask again. At 8 years old, she already understood more than she should have. Daniel's boss, Mr. Brooks, came over during the reception. He shook my hand firmly, his eyes red-rimmed. He took heed about you and Lily every day, he said. He was so proud of you both. And he set everything up to make sure you'd be okay. I nodded, not trusting my voice. If you need anything. Mr. Brooks continued. Anything at all, call me that night. After everyone left and Lily finally fell asleep, I checked my phone. 5 missed calls, all from friends offering help. None from my family, but there was one text message from Amber sent at 11:47 p.m. Hey sis. Heard about Daniel? That's rough. Call me when you are free. I stared at the message. Rough. Like Daniel dying was a bad day at work. Like losing the love of my life was just an inconvenience. I didn't respond. Instead, I opened Instagram. Amber's stories were still up from the weekend. Photos of her birthday celebration. A brunch at a fancy restaurant. Champagne flutes raised. Her caption reading, blessed with family. I closed the app and cried myself to sleep on Daniel's side of the bed. The next morning, I forced myself to sit at the kitchen table with Daniel's laptop and face reality. Bills, bank accounts, insurance papers. Daniel had always handled the finances, not because I couldn't, but because he enjoyed it. Now he had to figure everything out alone. The numbers swam in front of my eyes. The house was paid off. Daniel had insisted on that years ago. If anything ever happens to me, he'd said once, joking, at least you'll have a roof over your head. I laughed then. It wasn't funny anymore. There was $180,000 in savings, a life insurance policy for $500,000, investment accounts. I didn't fully understand, a college fund for Lily that Daniel had been contributing to since Sesh was born. I'd never managed this big money before. For 7 years, I'd been a stay-at-home mom. It was a choice we'd made together. Daniel's job paid well, and Lily needed me. But now, looking at these numbers, I felt overwhelmed. My phone buzzed. A text from Amber, seriously, call me. I set phone down. Another notification. An email from someone named Fletcher, a law firm in downtown. The subject Lineariad, estate of Daniel David Harper. I opened it with trembling hands. Dermers, Harper, I am the executive of your husband's will. Daniel retained our services 6 months ago to ensure High State was properly managed. Please schedule an appointment at your earliest convenience to discuss the terms of High State. Sincerely, Walter Fletcheresco. 6 months ago. Daniel had planned this 6 months ago and never mentioned it. He stared at the email for a long time. What else had he prepared? What else had he known? 3 days after the funeral, the doorbell rang at 10 o'clock in the morning. I wasn't expecting anyone. Lily was upstairs in her room drawing pictures of her father. Her therapist said it would help her process. I wiped my hands on my jeans and opened the door. My parents stood on the porch. Amber was behind them holding a coffee cup from Starbucks. Christine. Mom stepped forward and pulled me into a brief hug. Her perfume was overwhelming. We're so sorry we couldn't make it to the funeral, dear. Amber's event was already planned. You understand? I stood frozen. The funeral was 4 days ago. No, sweetheart, but we're here now. She walked past me into the house like shoned it. Dad followed, giving Miss Hooder an awkward pat. Amber trailed behind, her eyes scanning the living room. Nice place, she murmured. Daniel really did well for himself. I closed the door and turned to face them. My heart was pounding. What are you doing here? We came to see you, Mom said, settling onto the couch. To check on you and Lily. Dad sat in Daniel's chair. I wanted to tell him to move, but the word stuck in my throat. Where's Lee? Amber asked. Upstairs drawing. Poor thing, Mom said. This must be so hard for her. I waited. Something felt wrong. They weren't here to comfort me. The air was too thick with tension to deliberate. Dad cleared his throat. Christine, we need to talk about Daniel's estate. There it was. Mom leaned forward. You're still young, honey. Managing that money is complicated. We think it's best if we help. Amber added, yeah, sis. You've never worked in finance. We just want to make sure Lily's future is secure. I felt my hands curl into fists. Dad reached into his briefcase and pulled out a folder. He set it on the coffee table between us. We consulted a lawyer, he said. As your prince, we have the right to contest will if we believe you're not capable of managing it properly. My mouth went dry. Mom's voice was gentle, reasonable. We're not being greedy, Christine. But 50% should go to family to help Amber start her business and secure a retirement. I looked at Amber. Shouldn't meet my eyes. I've been working on this startup for 2 years, she said quietly. This is my chance. You want My voice sounded hollow. Half of what Daniel left for Lily and him. Dad sighed. Don't be dramatic, you'll still have plenty and we're family. We take care of each other. I thought of the phone call. Can this wait? I thought of the funeral. They'd missed the birthday brunch with champagne and hashtags about being blessed. This is what family meant to them. He stood up. I need time to think. Mom's expression tightened just slightly. Of course, dear, but don't take too long. Amber's investors are waiting. Dad tucked the folder back into his briefcase. We'll give you a week, but Christine, be reasonable about this. We're only trying to help. They stood to leave. Amber paused at the door. I really am sorry about Daniel, she said. The words sounded rehearsed. I didn't respond. After they left, I licked the door and leaned against it. Upstairs, Lily's footsteps creaked across the floor. I heard her little voice talking to herself, probably narrating her drawing. I thought of Daniel, of the email from the lawyer, of what he'd said once years ago after a tense Thanksgiving with my family. If anything ever happens to me, don't let anyone take what's yours and Lily's, I've made sure of it. I pulled out my phone and called Mr. Fletcher. The phone calls started the next day. Mom called at 9 o'clock a.m., then again at noon, then at 3 p.m., 5 p.m., and 7:00 p.m. I let every call go to voicemail. Amber sent texts. Hey, have you thought about what we discussed? Then we're just trying to look out for you. Then, don't shut yous out, Christine. Dad left a voicemail on second day. His voice was stern. Christine, this is getting ridiculous. We're trying to help you. Call us back. I didn't. I was scheduled to meet Fletcher on Friday. 3 more days. I could hold out 3 more days. Lily noticed. Mommy, why is Grandma calling so much? I knelt down to her level. They just want to check on us, baby. She tilted her head, studying my face. You look sad when the phone rings. Kids see everything. On Thursday afternoon, Amber posted on Facebook. The post was vague but pointed. Sometimes family disappoints you when you need them most. Within an hour, 3 friends had texted me. Is everything okay? Saw Amber's post, what happened? Are you in a fight with your family? I turned my phone off. That evening, I sat with Lily on that couch. We watched her favorite movie, something about a princess and a dragon. She curled against my side, her small hand holding mine. Mommy, she whispered during a quiet scene. Yeah, baby, is Daddy watching us? My throat tightened. I think so good. She squeezed my hand. Then he knows we're okay. I kissed the top of her head and tried to believe it. Friday morning, I put on my best dress. The navy one Daniel always said made me look confident. I needed that confidence now. Fletcher's office was downtown in an old brick building with tall windows. The law office smelled like old books and furniture polish. A receptionist led down a hallway lined with legal texts and framed degrees. Mr. Fletcher's name was on a brass plate beside a heavy wooden door. He stood when I entered, Almond in his mid-50s with gray hair and kind eyes. Mrs. Harper. He shook my hand firmly. I'm so sorry for your loss. Daniel was a good man. Thank you. I sat in the leather chair across from his desk. He opened a thick file folder. Your husband came to see me 6 months ago. He was very specific about what he wanted. He never told me. Fletcher smiled gently. He didn't want to worry you, but he wanted to make sure you and Lily would be protected no matter what. Protected from what? He pulled out a document and slid it across the desk. From people who might try to take advantage of your grief. I stared at the papers. Last will and testament of Daniel David Harper. Everything goes to you and Lily, Fletcher explained. The house, all financial accounts, life insurance, investments. It's an airtight will. Your parents have no legal claim unless they can prove undue influence or mental incapacity, which they can't. Relief flooded through me. So they can take anything. They can try to contest it, he said carefully, but it will cost them legal fees and they'll fail. Daniel made sure of that. He paused, then reached into the folder again. There's one more thing. Daniel left you a letter. He asked me to give it to you when this moment came. He handed me an envelope. My name was written on it in Daniel's handwriting. My hand shook as he opened it. The letter was to pages front and back. Daniel's handwriting, messy but familiar. I'd seen it on grocery lists, birthday cards, sticky notes left on the bathroom mirror. My dearest Christine, if you're reading this, it means I'm gone and someone is trying to take what belongs to you and Lily. I'm going to guess it's your prince. Probably with Amber's support. My breath caught. I know your prince. I've watched how they treat you versus Amber for 7 years. I've sat through Christmases where they gave here expensive gifts and gave you gift cards. I've listened to them praise her accomplishments while dismissing yours. I've seen you smile through it all because you didn't want to cause a trouble. They'll come after the inheritance, not because they need it, but because they think you're weak and won't fight back. Tears blurred the words. Christine, you are the strongest person I know. You just never had a reason to show it. You've raised our daughter with love and patience. You've made our house a home. You've supported me career and never once complained about the long hours or the stress. You are not weak. You are not incapable. And you deserve every penny I worked for because you worked just as hard making our family a family. I've set up everything so that you and Lily will be safe. Trust Mr. Fletcher, trust the process and trust yourself. There's a second envelope in my desk drawer, a thome labeled for Lily's hands only. Give it to her when they come asking. She'll know what to do. I love you. I'm sorry I had to leave, but I promise I'm still protecting you. Forever yours, Daniel. I folded the letter fully and looked up at Mr. Fletcher through tears. He knew, I whispered. He knew exactly what they'd owe. Yes, Mr. Fletcher said gently. Headed, I drove home in a daze. Daniel's letter was in my purse, pressed against me heart like a talisman. Lily was with a neighbor. Mrs. Turner had offered to watch her during my appointment. The house was empty when I walked in, silent. I went straight to Daniel's office. We'd never changed it after he died. His coffee mug still sat on the desk, half full and forgotten. His jacket hung on the back of his chair. Photos of Lily lined the bookshelf. First day off kindergarten. Gap to smile. Princess costume from last Halloween. I opened at the bottom drawer of his desk. The envelope was right where Daniel said it would be. White, business-sized, with Lily's name written in careful block letters for Lily's hands only when they asked. I held it up to the light. I couldn't see through the paper. Every instinct screamed at me to open it to know what Daniel had planned. But the instructions were clear. Lily's hands, not mine. I heard the front door open. Mommy, Lily's voice called out. Mrs. Turner brought me home. I stood quickly, slipping the envelope into my pocket. Lily appeared in the doorway. She looked at me standing in her father's office and her expression softened. Do you miss Daddy? Every second I said honestly. She walked over and hugged my waist. Me too. I held her tight. Lily, I need to ask you something. She looked up. Okay. If Grandma and Grandpa come back and they ask about money, I need you to give them something. Can you do that for me? She nodded seriously. What is it? I pulled out the envelope and handed it to her. She read the labels. Lee, this is for me. It's from Daddy. He wanted you to give it to them. Lily's eyes widened. When? You'll know when. Mom called again on Sunday morning. This time I answered, Christine. Her voice was bright, relieved. Finally, sweetheart, we need to talk. I'm listening. Not over the phone. We're having a family lunch at our house this Sunday. Please come. I gripped the phone tighter. I don't think that's a good idea right now. Christine, we need to resolve this. Uncle Gary and Aunt Helen will be there too. We're all worried about you. Uncle Gary and Aunt Helen. She was building an audience. This wasn't just a family lunch. It was a trap. They wanted to pressure me in front of everyone. I'll think about it, sweetheart. Mom's voice hardened just slightly. This isn't optional. Family needs to be together, especially after a loss like this. 1 o'clock, don't be late. She hung up before I could respond. I stood in the kitchen staring at my phone. I could refuse to go. I called ignore them all. But something Danielle wrote kept echoing in my mind. You were the strongest person I know. You just never had a reason to show it. Maybe it was time to show it. I called out to Lily. She came downstairs, still in her pajamas. What's up, Mommy? We're going to Grandma and Grandpa's house for lunch next Sunday. Her face lit up, then fell. Will they be nice to us? The question broke me heart. 8 years old and already learning that family could hurt you. I didn't know, baby, but we'll be okay. I promised that evening. I helped Lily pick out a dress for Sunday. She chose her favorite, the blue one with white flowers that Daniel had bought her for her birthday. Should I bring the envelope Daddy left? She asked. I looked at her, surprised by how perceptive she was. Not yet, baby, but bring your little purse. Well, keep it safe there. Sunday arrived too quickly. I pulled into my parents' driveway at 12:55 p.m. 8 cars were already parked along the street. My stomach twisted. Lily held my hand as we walked to the door. She tucked the envelope carefully into her small purse. I could see the corner peeking out. Amber opened the door. Christine, Lily, she smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. Come in. The dining room was full. Uncle Gary and Aunt Helen sat at the far end. Cousin Kevin was there with his wife. Cousin Diane waved at Lily. My prince stood near the kitchen talking in low voices. Everyone stopped when we entered. Christine, Mom hurried over, pulling me into a hug that felt performative. I'm so glad you came. Dad gestured to 2 empty chairs. Sit down, let's eat first, then we'll talk. The meal was silent in all the wrong ways. People made polite conversation, weather, sports, Diane's new job, but kept glancing at me like I was a problem to be solved. Lily ate her pasta quietly, her purse tucked beside her chair. After dessert, Uncle Gary cleared his throat. Christine, we heard a Booth inheritance. That's quite a sum. The room fell silent. Aunt Helena dead carefully. We're all family here. Was held support each other. I set down my fork. What are you saying? Dad leaned forward. We're saying that $1 million is a lot of money for someone who's never managed finance before. And we're worried, Mom said, about you making decisions while you're grieving. Amber spoke up. We just think it would be better if the family helped manage it for Lily's sake. I looked around the table. Every pair of eyes was on me, waiting, judging. This was their plan. Outnumber me. Make me feel small. Lily's hand found mine under the table. Dad stood up, his voice taking on that authoritative tone he used when he wanted to end a discussion. Christine, we've all discussed this. We think you're making a mistake by keeping everything. Disgusted, I repeated. You discussed my husband's estate without him. We're trying to protect you, Mom said. Amber leaned forward. You've never handled money before. What if you lose it all? What about Lily's future? Lily's future is secure, I said quietly. Daniel made sure of it. Did he Dad challenged? Or did he assume you'd have a family support? Uncle Gary shifted uncomfortably. Frank, maybe she needs to hear this. Dad cut him off. Christine, your mother and I raised you. We sacrificed for you. Don't we deserve something for all those years? The room felt too small, too hot. Cousin Kevin added, my parents helped raise you too. They were always there for family events. I felt my face flush. And where were you all at Daniel's funeral? Silence, where were you? I continued, my voice shaking when he called to say my husband was dead. Mom's face went pale. Christine, we explained. You were at a birthday party, I said, drinking champagne while I planned my husband's funeral alone. Amber stood up. That's not fair. We came as soon as we could. 3 days later, asking for money. We're asking you to be reasonable. Dad's voice rose. Daniel didn't understand that family takes care of each other. He didn't know how we do things. You're being selfish, Christine, Amber said, her voice sharp. The room went silent. Everyone stared at me, waiting for me to fold, to apologize, to give in. Lily squeezed my hand tighter. Then she let go and stood up. Hi everyone, if you've ever been in a situation where your whole family stood against you, hit that like button so I know you understand what I felt in that moment. And if you want to see how an 8-year-old changed everything with one simple question, Make sure you're subscribed because what happens next is something nobody at that table expected. Now watch what my daughter did. Lily walked around the table toward my prince. Her little Mary Jane shoes clicked on the hardwood floor. The room watched her with curious, uncertain expressions. Grandpa. Her voice was small but clear. Dad's face softened immediately. Yes, sweetheart. Can I say something? Of course you can. Lily reached into her purse and pulled out the white envelope. She held it carefully, the way she held precious things like the rocks she collected from the park or the drawing she made of her father. She walked up to it and held out the envelope. Daddy told me to give you this when you ask. Mom frowned. Ask for what, honey? Lily looked up with those wide, innocent 8-year-old eyes. For money. That's why you came, right? The room went completely still. Dad took the envelope slowly. His hand trembled slightly. Lily, sweetheart, we're neither for money. We're here because we love you and your mommy. Lily tilted her head. Then why did Grandma say you needed 50%? I watched my mother's face strain of color. We mom started. And we didn't you come when Daddy died? Lily continued. Mommy cried all night. It hurt her. Aunt Helen's fork clattered against her plate. Dad stared at the envelope in his hands, the handwriting in it. Daniel's handwriting stared back. For Lily's hands only when they asked. Amber leaned over. What is it? Uncle Gary watched from the other end off table, his expression unreadable. Dad's fingers fumbled with the seal. He pulled out two folded pieces of paper, a letter, and what looked like legal documents. He started reading. His face went from pale to flushed in seconds. Mom grabbed his arm. What does it say? Dad's hand started shaking. Amber snatched the letter from Dad's hands. What does it say? She scanned the first few lines and her face went white. You can't be serious. Read it out loud. Aunt Helen said quietly. Amber's hands shook. She cleared her throat. To Frank and Carol Harper, if you are reading this, it means you have used my wife and daughter for money after my death. The room erupted in whispers. Keep reading, I said calmly. Amber continued, her voice cracking. I knew this would happen. I've known for years how you treat Kristine. Compared to Amber, I've watched you dismiss her accomplishments and prioritize your younger daughter at every turn. Mom stood up. This is ridiculous. Daniel had no right. Keep reading, Amber, I repeated. She looked at me, then back at the letter. Have left 100% of my estate to Kristine and Lily Harper. This is my legal right and my choice. They are my family. They are my priority. Uncle Gary leaned forward, listening intently. If you attempt to contest this will, Amber paused, swallowing hard. If you attempt to contest this will, my attorney Walter Fletcher has been instructed to release documentation of your refusal to attend my funeral. Cousin Kevin's eyes widened. You didn't go to the funeral? Amber kept reading, her voice barely above a whisper. Specifically, the phone call on September 14th at 6:47 p.m. where Kristine informed Carol of my death, and Carol chose to stay at Amber's birthday party. This phone call was recorded as part of my emergency contact protocol. It is time-stamped and verified. The room exploded. You didn't go to his funeral? Aunt Helen asked, her voice rising. You knew he died and you stayed at a party. Diane stared at my mother. Mom tried to speak. It wasn't, we were going to, but no one was listening anymore. Amber's voice shook as she continued reading. The call was recorded through my employer's emergency contact system. The timestamp is verified. The content is indisputable. Dad grabbed the second paper, a photocopy of the will. His eyes scanned it frantically. Furthermore, Amber read, her face crumbling. Any attempt to publicly shame or pressure Kristen will result in this documentation being shared with your church community and extended family network. I do not make this threat lightly. I make it to protect my wife from people who have spent her entire life making her feel less than. Mom sank into her chair. Daniel wouldn't, he did, I said quietly. He knew exactly what you do. Uncle Gary stood up abruptly. Frank, Carol, his voice was cold. You didn't attend your son-in-law's funeral. We were going to come later, Dad protested. Amber's birthday was more important. Gary's jaw clenched. Are you serious? Aunt Helen looked at Mom with disgust. I was at that brunch. You never mentioned Kristine's husband dying. I didn't want to ruin Amber's day, Mom whispered. So you ruined Kristine's? Diane spoke up, her voice sharp. She lost her husband and you couldn't even show up. Kevin shook his head slowly. And now you're here demanding money. Amber set the letter down on the table. Her hands were still trembling. The will is legal, she said, hollow lie. Signed, notarized, witnessed. He left everything to Kristine and Lily. There's nothing we can do. Dad stared at the papers. This can't be enforceable. Their courting is perfectly legal in the state, I said. I looked it up. Single party consent. Daniel was on the call. He had every right to record it. The silence that followed was deafening. It stood up slowly. Lily immediately came at my side, slipping her hand into mine. Daniel knew this would happen. I said, my voice steady. Because it's happened my whole life. Amber always get the attention, the support, the benefit of the doubt. Christine, mom started. I was the responsible one. The one who didn't need help. The one who'd figure it out. I looked at each of them. But responsible really meant invisible. It meant you could ignore me when it mattered most. Dad tried to interrupt. Christine, this is family business. No, Dad, this is my business. Daniel's Willis legal. Mr. Fletcher confirmed it. Everything goes to Lily and me. And there's nothing you can contest. Where raised you, Mom said, tears streaming down her face. Doesn't that count for something? It does, I said honestly. And I'm grateful. But that doesn't give you the right to half of what my husband left for his daughter. Amber stood up. Christine, I didn't know they were going to. Yes, you did, I said quietly. You texted me about Daniel dying. You called it rough. Like losing my husband was a bad day at work. She flinched. It picked up my purse. Lily and I are releving now. If you want to contest that, will talk to your lawyer. But Fletcher has the recording, the documentation, and a very clear set of instructions. Uncle Gary cleared his throat. Christine, I think you're doing the right thing. And Helen nodded. If I'd known, I would have been at that funeral. Diane stood. Me too. I'm sorry, Christine. I looked at my parents' own last time. You made your choice on September 14th. Now I'm making mine. Lily and I walked to the door. Behind us, voices erupted into argument. How could you not tell us? That was Gary. Frank, this is shameful. Helen's voice sharp with anger. Mom, Dad, you need to fix this. Kevin's voice. I didn't stop. I didn't turn around. I just kept walking. Dad's voice rose above the others. You're going to regret this, Christine. I paused at the doorway, turned back just enough so he could see me face. The only thing I regret is not setting boundaries sooner. Lily tugged me hand. Let's go, Mommy. We walked to the car in silence. Behind us, I could hear the front door slam. More shouting from inside the house. Lily climbed into her booster seat. I buckled her in, my hands surprisingly steady. Mommy, she said as I started the engine. Are you okay? I looked at her in the rearview mirror, my beautiful, perceptive daughter, Daniel's eyes looking back at me. I'm more than okay, baby. I'm free. The drive home took 15 minutes. Lily hummed quietly in the back seat, already moving past what had happened. Kids were resilient like that. My phone buzzed as Sil pulled into the driveway. Texts were flooding in. Diane, I'm so sorry. I had no idea they did that. Gary, your brunch owe you an apology. That way's inexcusable. Helen, if you need anything, call us. And one from Amber. Can we talk, please? I silenced my phone. Inside, Lily went straight to the kitchen and poured herself a glass of milk. What's for dinner? How about pizza? I suggested. Her face lit up. With extra cheese. With extra cheese. While Lily watched cartoons, I sat at the kitchen table and finally let myself breathe. Really breathe. For the first time in 3 weeks, I felt like I could. Daniel had protected us. Even in death, he'd protected us. If you've ever had to cut ties with family to protect yourself or your children, leave a heart in the comments. I want you to know you are not alone in that decision. And if you want to see what happened in 3 weeks after I walked out of that house, hit subscribe because the story doesn't end here. Some of my family reached out to apologize. Others never spoke to me again. Here's what happened next. The first thing I did Monday morning was block my parents' numbers. The numbers. It felt like cutting off a limb. Painful but necessary. I kept Gary and Helen's numbers. They'd prevent themselves. Diane, by Tuesday. I had an email from Gary. Christine, Helen, and I support your decision completely. If you need anything, child care, a meal, someone to talk to, we're here. I replied with 2 words. Thank you. Wednesday, I updated my Facebook settings, made my profile private, limited who could see my posts. I wasn't hiding. I was protecting my peace. Thursday, I posted something simple, visible only to close friends. Sometimes protecting your peace means disappointing people who never protected yours. 47 likes. Dozens of supportive comments. You're so strong, Christine. Good for you for setting boundaries. Your daughter is lucky to have you. Amber tried to reach me through Instagram. Her message sat in my request folder. Can we talk? I didn't know Mom and Dad were going to do that. I never wanted this. I left it on read. Friday evening, Lily asked the question I'd been dreading. We were sitting on the couch eating popcorn and watching a movie. Mommy, will we ever see Grandma and Grandpa again? I muted the TV. I don't know, baby. Maybe someday if they learn to respect our boundaries. What's boundaries? It means treating people with kindness and respect even when you didn't get what you want. She thought about this. Grandma and Grandpa weren't kind. No, they weren't. Did Daddy know they wouldn't be? I pulled her close. Yes, that's why he protected us. She was skeet for a moment. Then Daddy was smart. My eyes filled with tears. Here Lily was. We finished the movie. Lily fell asleep on my lap. I carried her up to bed and tucked her in. kissing her forehead. Downstairs, my phone buzzed, another text from Amber. I deleted it without reading. 2 weeks after the family lunch, a certified letter arrived. I stared at it on the kitchen table. The return address was a law firm he didn't recognize. Inside was a formal notice. My parents were officially contesting Daniel's will. Dire grounds, emotional distress, and undue influence during estate planning. My hands shook as I read it. Lily was actual. The house was quiet. I picked up my phone and called Mr. Fletcher. He answered on the second ring. Mrs. Harper, I've been expecting your call. They're really doing this. Yes, I received the same notice this morning. His voice was calm, steady. Don't worry, they have no grounds whatsoever. But the letter says they're grasping at straws. They have to prove Daniel was mentally unsound or that you manipulated him. Neither is true and they have no evidence. So what happens now? I respond. I send them the documentation, the recording, the will, the affidavit from the witnesses, and I include a warning about their potential legal costs if they continue. How much will it cost me? Nothing. Daniel's estate covers all legal fees for will defense. He planned for this too. I sat down heavily. He really did think of everything. He loved you very much, Mrs. Harper. After we hung up, I made tea and sat by the kitchen window. Outside, leaves were starting to turn orange and gold. Fall was coming, Daniel's favorite season. Mr. Fletcher worked ahead quickly. By the end of the week, I had a copy of his response letter. It was professional, thorough, and devastating. The recording was attached, time-stamped, verified, along with a list of Daniel's medical records showing perfect mental health and statements from his employer, his doctor, and 3 friends confirming he was of sound mind when he created the will. 1 week later, I received another letter. My parents' lawyer was withdrawing from the case. The news spread through the family like wildfire. Diane called me. Christine, did y'all hear? Dad and Mom's lawyer dropped them. I heard. Everyone knows now about the funeral. The phone call. Everything. Shep housed. Aunt Carol tried to explain it at church last Sunday. It didn't go well. I didn't ask for that, I said quietly. You didn't have to. The truth is a way of getting out. That afternoon, Mom left a voicemail. Her voice was small, shaky. Christine, I hope one day you can forgive us. We made mistakes. We see that now. I saved the voicemail but didn't respond. More information trickled in over the following weeks. Gary told me that several extended family members had stopped inviting my parents to events. The Thanksgiving invitation list is going around. He said your parents aren't on it, Gary. I never wanted. Bueno, but actions have consequences. They chose a birthday party over your tragedy. People don't forget that. Helen added that several of Mom's friends from church had distanced themselves. Someone asked Carol point blank if it was true she skipped her son-in-law's funeral. Carol couldn't answer. Amber apparently told people she was taking a break and moved to her apartment across town. Her Instagram went quiet. No more birthday posts. No more hashtags about being blessed. I didn't feel victorious. I felt sad. These were my parents, my sister family, but Lily deserved better. And so did I. Mer Fletcher sent me a final letter. The case is officially closed. No further action will be taken. Your inheritance is secure. I framed Daniel's letter and hung it in my office. A reminder that I was loved, that I was protected, that I was stronger than I'd ever known. I met with a financial advisor in November. Her name was Valerie, and she specialized in helping young widows manage their finances. You're doing better than most people in your situation, she said, reviewing my accounts. Daniel set everything up well. He was thorough. He was smart. She pulled out a planning document. Let's talk about Lily's future. We set up a proper college fund, investment accounts, a trust that Lila couldn't access until she was to 5. Everything protected. Everything planned. What about you? Valerie asked. What do you want? I hadn't thought about myself in months. I don't know. That's okay. You don't have to know right now. I also started therapy, not grief counseling. We talked about Daniel, but therapy told me understand my family dynamics. You were the scapegoat. Dr. Spencer explained. Amber was the golden child, classic family pattern. I just thought I wasn't good enough. You were always good enough, Christine. They just couldn't see it. Lily started seeing a chilled therapist, too. Ms. Bennett was gentle, patient. She used art therapy, letting Lee draw and paint her feelings. She's processing well, Ms. Bennett told me after the 3rd session. She misses her father, but she feels safe with you. That's the most important thing. In December, I joined a support group for young widows. 12 women, all under 40, all navigating life after loss. A woman named Valerie, different Valerie, shared her story. I had to cut off my in-laws. They tried to take my house. Best decision I ever made. Others nodded. They understood. For the first time since Daniel died, I didn't feel alone that evening. Lily started piano lessons. something Daniel had always wanted for her. I sat in the waiting room listening to her fumble through scales and cried. Not from sadness, from healing. 6 months passed. It was March now. The anniversary of Daniel's death was approaching. April 14th, a day I'd been dreading, but life had found a new rhythm. Lily was thriving in school. Herdy Aker said she was doing remarkably well considering everything. I'd started volunteering at the local library twice a week. It wasn't much, but it gave me purpose, made me feel useful. Lily's 9th birthday was coming up. I planned a party at our house. Just her school friends, Gary and Helen. Diane. Can we have a princess cake? Lily asked. We can have whatever you want. She hugged me tight. I wish Daddy could bet her. Me too, baby. But he'd be so proud of you. The party was lovely. 10 little girls running around the backyard playing games. Eating too much sugar. Lily blew out her candles and made osh. She wouldn't tell me what it was. After everyone left, Gary pulled me aside. You're doing great, Christine. Really great. Some days are harder than others. That's normal. He squeezed Miss Hooder. But you're handling it. Lily Shappy. That's what matters. Helen added, have you heard from your parents? I shook my head. No, and that's okay. They'd tried reaching out a few times, emails mostly, which I left unanswered. I wasn't ready. Maybe I never would be. Amber sent a birthday card for Lily. It arrived the day before the party. Inside was a gift card to a bookstore and a short note. Happy birthday, Lily, I miss you. Love, Aunt Amber. Lily looked at it with confusion. Can I use the gift card? Yes, should I say thank you? I thought about it. If you want to, she wrote a simple thank you note. I mailed it for her. Small steps, maybe one day there would be healing. But not a day, not yet. I ran into Amber at the grocery store in late April. I was in the produce section picking out apples. When I heard someone say my name, I turned. Amber stood 3 feet away holding a basket. She looked thinner, tired, older somehow. Christine, her voice was quiet. Hi Amber, Lily was with me. She stopped standing halfway behind me. Amber looked at Lily. Hi, Lily, you've grown so much. Lily didn't respond, just pressed closer to my side. Amber's eyes filled with tears. Look, I know I can't fix what happened, but I'm sorry. I should have been there for you. You're right, I said evenly. Yeah, I should have. Can we, I don't know, maybe talk sometime? Get coffee? I consider at this. The old Christine would have said immediately, eager to smooth things over, to keep the peace. But I'd learned something in the past 6 months. I didn't tell anyone my piece just to make them comfortable. Maybe, I said carefully. But not right now. Lily and I are still healing. Amber nodded, wiping her eyes. You understand, I deserve that. Take care, Amber, you too. We walked in opposite directions. Lily looked up at me. Are you sad? A little, but that's okay. Do you think Aunt Amber is sad? Probably. Good, Lily said, then paused. Is that mean? I squeezed her hand. Its own stance. Sometimes people need to feel sad about the choices they made. We finished shipping and went home. That night I wrote in my journal something drive. Spencer had encouraged me to do today. I saw Amber. It hurt less than I expected. Maybe that's progress. Maybe that's healing. Or maybe I just don't have any more anger left to give. I choose peace over winning. I choose Lily over proving a point. I closed the journal and felt lighter. That evening, Lily and I sat on the porch. Spring was in full bloom now. Flowers in the garden that Daniel had planted years ago. Lily held a cup of hot chocolate, even though it was getting warm outside. Mommy, do you think Aunt Amber really meant it? I think she meant it in that moment, I said carefully. But words are easy, actions take time. Will we ever be a family again? I pulled her close. Weary of family, Lily. You and me and the people who show up for us, like Unclegery and Aunt Helen. Exactly, family isn't just blood. It's as there when it matters. Lily thought about this, sipping her chocolate. Daddy was always there. Hestel is baby in different ways. She looked up at the sky. Do you think he's watching us? I hope so. We sat in comfortable silence. A year ago, I would have been terrified of thistlands, terrified of being alone with me thoughts. But now, the quiet felt peaceful. Later, after Lily went to bed, I sat at Daniel's desk. I'd slowly been making it my own, clearing out old papers, adding my own things, but I'd kept his photos, his coffee mug, his favorite pen. I opened my journal again and wrote, I used to think setting boundaries meant I was being cruel. Now I know it means I'm being kind to myself and to Lily. Daniel taught me that, not with words, but with his actions. Has showed me what it means to protect the people you love, even when it's difficult. I paused, then added, I'm not perfect at this. I still feel guilty sometimes, but I'm learning, and that is no. One night in early May, I opened Neil's laptop. I'd avoided it for months, but now I felt ready. I created a document and started typing. Dear Neil, it's been 8 months since you left. Lily misses you every day, so do I. But I want you to know we're okay because of you. Your letter, your planning, your love. It saved us. Not just financially but emotionally. You gave me permission to stand up for myself, to protect our daughter, to believe I was strong enough. My parents tried to contest the will. They failed. The boundaries you helped me set are holding. I'm learning to live without you, but I'll never forget what you gave us. Safety, dignity, and a future. Lily is thriving. She's in 3rd grade now, getting straight A's. She plays piano, your dream for her. She talks about you constantly. Daddy would have loved this. Daddy would have been proud. She's right, you would be. I joined a support group. I started therapy. I'm rebuilding myself piece by piece. Some days are hard. I still cry when I hear our song in the radio. I still reach for you in the middle of the night and remember you're not there, but I'm standing. And Lily is standing beside me. Your parents called last week. They want to meet Lily. I said no, maybe one day, but not yet. I'm protecting her the way you protected us. Thank you, Daniel, for seeing me, for loving me, for making sure we'd be okay. I miss you every second of every day. But I'm okay. We're okay. Forever yours, Christine. I saved the file. Letter to Daniel, month 8. There were 7 other letters in the folder, one for each month since he died. I closed the laptop and went to bed feeling peaceful. September 14th arrived. 1 year since Daniel died. Lily and I drove to the cemetery together. She wore the blue dress, the one Daniel had bought her. I wore his favorite sweater of mine, the gray one. He said matched my eyes. We brought flowers, white roses, Daniel's favorite. Lily knelt by the headstone and placed the flowers carefully. Hi Daddy, I'm in 3rd grade now. I got on in math. I knelt beside her, brushing dirt off the stone. We're doing okay, Daniel. Just like you planned. Lily traced her fingers over his name. Do ya think Daddy knows we stood up to Grandma and Grandpa? I smiled. I think he's very proud of us. We sat there for a while taking to him, telling him about Lily's piano recital, about the library where I volunteered, about the garden that was blooming. On the drive home, Lily fell asleep in the back seat. I drove slowly, listening to Daniel's favorite song on the radio. I didn't cry. I just listened and remembered. At home, I tucked Lily into bed. She washed off asleep. Love you, Mommy. Love you too, baby. In my room, I opened the drawer of my nightstand. Inside was the original letter Daniel had left with Mer Fletcher. I'd read it dozens of times, but tonight I read it again. You are the strongest person I know. You just never had a reason to show it. I folded the letter fully and put it back. 1 year ago, I thought I'd lost everything, but I'd found something I didn't know I had myself. 3 weeks later, a text message arrived. It was from Mom, the first direct contact in 9 months. Christine, it's Mother's Day next week. Can we see Lily? I stared at the message for a long time. Lily was at a friend's house. The house was quiet. I sat on the couch and thought about what I wanted. Not what they wanted. Not what would keep the peace. What I wanted. The answer came quickly. I typed, not yet, when I'm ready. I'll let you know. I had sent before I could second guess myself. 3 dots appeared immediately. She was typing. Then they disappeared. No response came. That Sunday was Mother's Day. Lily made me breakfast, slightly burnt toast and scrambled eggs. It was perfect. Happy Mother's Day, Mommy. Thank you, baby. She handed me a card she'd made actual. The front had a drawing of that woe of us holding hands. Inside, you are the best, Mommy, love, Lily. He hugged her tight and tried not to cry. That afternoon, Gary and Helen invited Yusufer. Diane was there too. They'd prepared lunch and bought me flowers. You're doing great, Christine, Helen said. Being a mother is hard. Being a single mother is harder. You're handling it with grace. I looked at Lily playing with Diane's dog in the backyard and felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Pride. Not pride in what I'd served. Pride in who I'd become. That night, I got another text. This time from Amber. Happy Mother's Day. You're an amazing mom. Lily is lucky to have you. I read it twice, then typed thank you. Nothing more, nothing less. Small steps. Maybe one day there would be more. But today, this was enough. In June, something shifted in therapy. Dr. Spencer asked me a question I'd never considered. What do you want your relationship with your family to look like in 5 years? I opened my mouth to answer, then stopped. I don't know, I admitted. That's okay. You don't have to know right now. She leaned forward. But think about it. Do you want reconciliation? Do you want distance? Do you want something in between? Over the next week, I thought about it constantly. I imagined Lily at 13, at 18, at 21. Did I want her to have a relationship with her grandparents? With her aunt? Yes, but only if they changed, only if they'd earned it. I called it control whether they changed, but I could control my boundaries. At my next session, I told Dr. Spencer, I want the option of reconciliation, but I don't want to force it or rush it. I want them to prove they've changed before they're a part of Lily's life again. That's fair, she said. That's healthy. Is it? I asked. Sometimes I feel like I'm being cruel. Protecting yourself isn't cruel, Christine. It's necessary. That night, I wrote a letter, not to Daniel this time, to myself. Dear Christine, you are not responsible for your parents' choices. You are not responsible for their hurt feelings. You are not responsible for keeping everyone happy. You are only responsible for protecting yourself and Lily. It's okay to say no. It's okay to wait. It's okay to take your time. You are enough. You have always been enough. Love yourself. I folded the letter and put it in my journal. Some days I needed the reminder, but more and more I was starting to believe it. Today is October 6th, 13 months since Daniel died. I'm sitting on the porch watching Lily play in the yard. She's running through the sprinkler laughing. The sound fills me with joy. My phone buzzes. Another text from Mom. Christine, please. We miss Lily. I look at the message for a moment, then type, I'm not ready. Please respect that. This time she responds, we understand. We'll wait. It's not an apology, but it's a start. Lily runs over, dripping wet. Mommy, can we make cookies? Of course, baby. Let's go. She grabs my hand and pulls me toward the house. I look back at the yard, at the garden Daniel planted, at the swing set he built, at the life we made together. He's not here, but his love still is. Inside, we mix cookie dough. Lily gets flour everywhere. I didn't care. These are the moments that matter. While the cookies bake, I think about the journey I've been on. From widow to warrior, from doormat to someone who knows her worth. It wasn't easy. There were days I wanted to give up. Days I wanted to give in. Days I wanted to just say yes to make everything stop hurting. But I didn't. For Lily, for Daniel, for myself. Lily pulls cookies from the oven. Perfect. Just like you, I say. That night after Lily goes to bed, I stand in the doorway of Daniel's office. My office now. I've made it my own while keeping pieces of him. And I realize I'm not just surviving anymore. I'm living. If you're in a situation where family expects you to give up what's yours, remember this. Protecting yourself isn't selfish. It's necessary. Set your boundaries. Honor your worth. And don't let anyone tell you that love means accepting disrespect. That's my story. If you've ever had to choose between family harmony and your own peace, drop a comment and tell me what you decided. I'd love to hear from you. And if you think someone needs to hear this today, please share this video. Thank you for listening. I'll see you in the next one. Thank you for following Kristen's journey. If this story touched your heart, please like and subscribe to support this channel. And don't forget to check the description below. I have links to more stories about setting boundaries, finding strength, and protecting your peace. Remember, you deserve respect even from family. See you in the next video.